When you compress water, and a good example is a coffee pot with a plunger, the pressure on the water forces the liquid up, not down, always up. And I think this is a good analogy for prayer. When prayer is intense, when we're in trouble, we're feeling sad, and our prayer, we need to pray. And it's not just a routine, but it's something, from the heart. Maybe somebody's seriously ill and you're praying for them. That's what I mean. That prayer becomes intense to the degree that it arises and it goes up to the throne of God. I found a very interesting story which I think relates to it, and this is about fire. So we have water that goes up, we know that. I mean, we know that from science. And if you make coffee, you know that. Don't press the thing too quickly. The prayer goes up to God. This story is about fire. It's about a monk on the Holy Mountain who was attending Vespers, Večerňa, and afterwards he was saying the Jesus prayer during the service. Maybe he, I don't know what he was doing, who he was. We don't know, no name. And so after Večerňa, he went to his cell and he carried on praying. And a thought came to him, I wonder how many other people are praying like this. Just a curious thought. And suddenly he was catapulted up into the air. And he found himself hovering over the Holy Mountain like a bird, and he could see. And there were fires everywhere. Some fires were big, and some were tiny, and some were like a little candle, very, very weak. But they were all over the Holy Mountain. These were the monks praying, and God seeing their thoughts. And one of the places, there was a river of fire going up. And the monk was surprised. You can actually, apparently, in that state, talk to God or the angels. And he said, well, who is this? He said, well, this is somebody who really knows how to pray, but I'm not going to know you not to know their name until they passed on. When they join us here, then you'll find out who it is. So it was the igumen of, well, I think I know what it was, but of a monastery which has to remain nameless. Well, it remains nameless because I don't know. They don't mention it. I'm just guessing. All right, there could be several, and some holy igumen that we know of already. That you know from Father. What's his name? Your books.
Yeah, I was trying. I had his name. Emilianos.
Emilianus. Yes.
Simon Petra.
Yes. Yeah. Simon Petra. Fire going up to God's throne, prayer. So when you say your prayers, you think, well, me? Yes, you. And you say a prayer, however weak you may think, however your faith, you're maybe, not particularly strong, the prayer goes up. Okay, it's a candlelight. It's not a bonfire. It's not a huge fire. It's a little one, but it's still there. Because, why? Because we are made in the image of God. So we have that light inside us. Even if we're not conscious, especially, I think, we're not conscious of it. We think, well, that's what saints do. That's what saints have. No, you have. Can you see it? It can be seen, but we don't normally see it. Okay? We don't see it. But it can be seen because it's a part of our humanity. We sometimes, wonder why, how can this be? Well, God said, it says in the Bible, we are made in the image of God. Image of God. That means that we have godlike powers. And they show up sometimes. And sometimes we see them. We may see them in other people. It was like Saint Anthony of Voronezh. When it's reported that when he served liturgy, fire came out of his mouth as he pronounced the words in the liturgy. Fire, light. We all have that light, but we don't see it. Maybe we'll never see it. Well, I don't believe that. I think we will, but at the moment we don't. Okay. We have to understand that we are holy. We are holy. What, me? Yes, you. You're holy. But you don't behave as though you're holy. That's the difference. and you're not developing it. You have to develop holiness. I've got a list of things that are very ordinary and which we all know, not a problem with. We need to study. It is necessary to study for salvation. So when we read the Gospel every day, I hope we do, or at least an extract, what you can, that begins to help the flame that's in us grow more, get brighter. There's very practical steps that one can take. One can open the Gospel and read a chapter. There are readings. I mean, I've got one on my phone. They come from Baltimore Church, publishes the Gospel of the day, the Epistle of the day. I find the Epistle hard. For some reason, I just can't really relate to it. I mean, I read it. I'm reading words. I don't feel anything. Not yet, maybe, but the Gospel, I always feel there's something there that's new. I think, well, I must have read it, 20, 50 times, 100 times, and each time I read it, it's something new. There's something there I haven't seen before, because it's not intellectual, it's from the heart. And as our hearts warm up, then we begin to see things we didn't see before. So there are I've written this down, practical aspects of engaging in spiritual exercises. Exercises such as managing anger. That's a good one. Managing anger. When people talk about anger management, that's something we have to do. Being kind to others. Don't think that's too difficult, but it can be. Depends who you're being kind to, or can't be kind to. No, this is life, isn't it? Praying, of course, and working towards a charitable predisposition. In other words, making ourselves see, how can I be charitable today? How can I be loving to somebody? Can I help somebody? And I think you can, especially if you're shopping in the store. Make the person who's doing the checkout, make them feel happy. Engage. I try to do that. That's part of my mission. Is always I see somebody, I talk to them. I can get away with it. Most people would say, well, who are you? What do you want? They're too scared to ask who I am, but it doesn't matter. Because they've never seen a priest before. It seems, but I'm sure they have. Just bad conscience, bad conscience. So I'm saying here notes. Studying is a way of preoccupying our minds with God. So we should study. When I say study, I would recommend Lives of Saints, of course. We've got some amazing contemporary saints. Elder Porphyrius. There's 3 books. I have 3 books of his. Each one's different. St. Paisius, as you know, I met. I don't claim that to fame, but because I don't understand it, I don't understand God's providence. Things happen to us and we think afterwards, oh, okay, how did that happen? Leave it. Don't try and work out why it happened. When I was in Thessalonica, well actually in England, I was going to Belarusian church. It doesn't really matter actually, but there was a Greek family there, and they were going back to Greece in the summer because they had relatives there, and I wanted to go to the Holy Mountain. So I said, what do I do to go to the Holy Mountain? They explained how to get a visa and whatever to do, and they said, well, come and stay with us for a few days before you go. So I went to Salonika and I stayed with them. His wife actually was a dentist. Not that it's relevant. I had some delightful children who couldn't understand what I was saying, making fun of me because they'd never heard English, which is I still find that funny. Anyway, they said, well, when you go to the Holy Mountain, you have to meet our elder, our spiritual father. His name's Paisius. Oh, okay, never heard of him. Who's he? I mean, I didn't think in those terms. And they said, yeah, no, you need to go and see him. I said, okay, well, we'll arrange something. So when I got to the Holy Mountain, I don't remember the connections, I don't remember the details. All I know that somebody said to me, some monk, he said, you have an interview with, not an interview, meeting with Elder Paisius. And, 2 o'clock or something. So off I go, and I'm walking along this paths and things, and I come to this fence. And the fence, there's a key on a pulley, And so Elder Paisius had so many pilgrims. I mean, it took about thousands. He had to put a fence round his cell to keep them out, so he could have some peace. And so if you wanted to get in, you had to apply for the key. And there's a little bell, and I rang the bell, and he sent the key down on a pulley. And I took it, opened the gate, went in, locked it, and then I went up the path, and he was sitting outside on some upturned logs, and he was carving. He's sitting there carving away. He didn't speak English, and my Greek was non-existent, except for, a cup of coffee or something, or ouzo, a glass of ouzo. That was it, travelling Greek. Somehow we communicated. I don't understand how it happened. I know it's providence, so, be quiet is what I say to myself. He doesn't speak English, I don't speak Greek, we're having a conversation. Miracle. And I said to him, well, I have a problem. I said, I've got a very important job, well-paid job in Canada. I'd come from no work for a long time into this top management level. I don't go into details of that, but the thing is, and I said to him, and I'm going to earn a lot of money, and I'd just be ordained a deacon, so is that a good thing? And he's cutting away on this thing, and he stopped, he says, if I do this, and this is Panagia he's carving, that's good, but if I do that, it's bad. That's the answer. How you use the money. Not that you earn money, not that you can be a millionaire, but if you handle it properly, it's to salvation. And I said, well, the other thing, Elder, is that I have 6 children. He said there were 12 apostles. I'll leave that to your imaginations to work that one out. It all came true, okay? How did we communicate? It's only come to me this year that we were speaking. I thought afterwards, I don't even know those words in Greek. I have to get a dictionary. I give up. But then I heard that he could speak French when he had French visitors. Otherwise he couldn't speak French. That's interesting. If it's needed, it's available. This is grace, like a dart. We've got to get used to it. This is how life works for you and me. The same. God's providence. I'm not saying that you'll meet somebody and speak Georgian or some language which I'm struggling with trying to learn, but it's difficult. It's God's providence. And so, but we have to practice our orthodoxy. You've got to practice it. Otherwise it gets nowhere. Well, you know that in any profession, whatever it may be, if you don't practice, you don't get anywhere. And that's it. Sorry. Yes, and I don't know who's writing this, but I don't know where he even got this from now, but I think it's the monk of Holy Mountain said that our prayer, we believe in God, but mainly it's theoretical, and that's no good. It doesn't go anywhere. We have to experience God. And I remember an elder telling me, in prayer you have to taste the sweetness of it. So you don't just get a prayer book out and start reading prayers. Well, you have to start somewhere. Of course you do. But it should become a sort of food and a sweetness to it that you just need it. Now, this leads to the last story, which is a true story. There were 2 monks. This is in Cyprus. This is where the story comes from. And they'd been monks probably for 10 years. They were young men. And one of them said to his friend, and they were friends, he said, I don't think I can continue in this life. It's boring. We do the same thing. We eat the same food every day. That's not a big deal. Depends on whether you're a gourmet eater or something. But and he said that the services are all the same. So I think I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to go and see the igumen after Vespers and tell him. Anyway, he goes to the service and is waiting, and the priest comes in, and the priest says, "Blagoslовен Bog nash," and suddenly, for him, the young monk, the whole world opens up. Blagoslовен Bog nash, Всегда, ныне и присно, и во веки веков. That hit him. He suddenly had an experience of God, a real experience, not a theoretical one, an actual spirit. The enormity of eternity was revealed to him. So what did he do? He just carried on. And I think we have to be like that as well. Don't find things difficult or things don't make sense. It's easy to say, but we have to live according to providence. Otherwise we go crazy. We cannot work all these things out. Does that mean we're not allowed to use our brain? No. Of course we have to use our brains. But let them be driven by God and not by some ambition. I think that is the problem. I don't know about you, but I wanted to do certain things which I'm not going to reveal. I mean, not they were bad, but they're relevant to life. Becoming Orthodox destroyed a lot of things that I wanted to do. And I say destroyed because I suddenly lost interest. I'm not interested anymore. I'm busy though, singing the choir. This was in London. Beautiful choir. We've had, it was a good choir master. Very, very beautiful services actually. So why worry about, other things that I was planning, which didn't happen. Glory to God that it didn't happen, otherwise I wouldn't be married to Matushka. I wouldn't be here. And believe you me, there's certain things I really wanted to do because I thought I could do this. I could change the world if I was involved in something. So glory to God that I didn't succeed. In fact, I had to give up my job when I became Orthodox, but I'm not going to put this on recording on camera. So I'm working in sensitive things, put it that way, and so it was problematic. Okay. Thank you.